Hey everybody, so yes, this is an interesting one because no one truly knows what it is. Well, actually, I kind of hope I'm wrong and someone does and they can tell me. Let me tell you about this thing, where I got it from, the story, what I know about it so far, and everything in between, and then hopefully someone out there might be able to give me a bit more information. So what it appears to be is a steel plate with some sort of pin that has been fired through it. It's threaded on one side, has a little hole here. Also notice there's number 5 here. It's not square in the slightest, as you can see. So to show you close up, you can see that this pin has come through here with a serious amount of force. Also note that the tip of it has not really been deformed much. In fact, that dark mark is just the chrome coating that's been put on this that's come off. It's still very sharp. And on the rear side you can see the steel has splashed up. So this pin has been fired through this steel plate with, a lot of force. It's going to take a lot of force to get a pin through a plate like this. All of these materials attract a magnet equally, so I think this is steel and I think this is also steel. In thickness it's around 12 and a bit millimeters, but because I know this is from World War II era, it's going to be in inches because it's England, so it's, there you go, it's a 1/2 inch plate of steel. So should we do the rest in millimeters because that's what we work in these days, and I do. Thickness, 1/2 inch, 12 and a bit millimeters. And you got 71.5, 68, nearly 69, 71.5, 70.5. So this has quite clearly been chopped out crudely, or the sheet itself was originally chopped crudely. Or should we say they didn't care about it being that accurate. 13 and a bit millimeters at the thickest point. The threads on the back are around 15.5. And this hole in the rear, which I'll get to, is around 6.5 millimeters. It seems like it stops as soon as it reaches the threads, which would make sense because obviously there would be an awful lot of drag the second that starts trying to plough its way through the steel. The hole on the rear here also has a thread inside of it, and that hole actually only goes that deep into this, so not very far. Okay, so that's what it is from what we can see. What do I know about it? And where did I get it? My late Nan's partner, who died a few years before she did, he served in the Navy in World War II on submarines, and he spent some of his time serving in Italy, I know that for sure. So it might have an Italy connection, or it might not. I suspect probably doesn't. I'm suspecting it's on the UK side. What he told me was this was a prototype or a test piece for an idea that was being, well, tested. It had something to do with raising sunken submarines or getting air supplies to sunken submarines to the crew on board so they could then raise the submarine later. From my memory of this, what he basically told me was that if you imagine this is the outside of the submarine, this pin would be fired through the submarine, then an airline could be attached onto the back to supply fresh air, and presumably the crew on the inside would have to chop off the tip of the projectile so the air could be pumped in. I don't know if that's, it's a very small hole to be getting air for an entire crew into a submarine, but whatever, I don't know. That's what he told me. But the reason why I don't think that's correct is I have spoken to submariners and people who work in this sort of stuff and collectors, and no one knows anything about this. The submariner people think that it's unlikely because of the twin-skin nature of submarines. Of course, the other option is saying about trying to maybe raise a sunk submarine is to fire this into the air tanks that they use for buoyancy, and then fill those with air to get the water out and let them raise up. But the problem with that is you'd have to have someone inside the air tank to chop the end of it off. So I don't know if that's right. Also, as we say, this hole only goes that far in. And I don't see them, drilling this all the way through and into here to get them to chop it out underwater. I mean, maybe if you made a fixture that could screw on and you could then just have like a pillar drill, that maybe, but then this is all going on underwater. But then if you're trying to save people's lives, maybe. That's sort of the story he told me. The other option that was suggested to me is that, well, maybe they fire clusters of these into the side of the submarine, attach lift bags or something like that and try and lift the submarine with it. I don't feel like that's going to be the right answer. I really don't. But it is bizarre because this is clearly not a weapon, because it's got these threads on it. It's designed to do a job. He worked with submarines and that's what he told me, but it doesn't seem to make much sense that might be the answer. So that's what the object physically is, where I got it from and what I've been told about it. As I say, it says number 5 on it, so I have hope that maybe in a museum somewhere there's number 1 to 4 and someone actually knows what this is, but I fear the reality is these were test pieces and someone like me was there and said, what's going to happen to this now? And they're like, well, we're going to bin it. I'm like, well, can I have it? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then you get it chrome plated and keep it as a desk ornament. Or maybe one of the engineers turned it into a desk ornament to give to someone to put on their desk. I don't know. You know, it's a cool little object that when you have it, you probably wouldn't want to throw it away. It's a cool thing. Or even being kept as a reference piece for them, you know, displaying the idea of the technology. Although I don't know why you'd chrome plate it for that. Maybe just to protect it. But as I say, from all the people I've spoken to, submariners, people in the Navy, you know, weapons, antiques collectors, people who are interested in this sort of thing, I have asked on social media, no one has been able to give me any answers on this. And I'm not holding a huge amount of hope to find out the answer, because I know the internet is a big wide place and this video could get to a lot of people, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to reach the right people, because it might be just something that's been lost to time. Only people who've since passed on know anything about what this is. The thing though that always surprises me is that when I do a video on a piece of military equipment or something like that, it's the regularity that I get connected with someone who is involved in its manufacturer or worked there or works there now or just knows about these things is amazing. A little while ago I did a video on an RAF Tornado jet part, and through that I managed to talk to someone who was in the RAF at the time, that they were used, who could talk to other people, and I got all sorts of information about it. It's called The Man with Big Boots if you want to see that video. It's very interesting. Same as when I did a video about the AIM-9 Sidewinder missile, particularly about the roller-ons on them. I've had comments from people whose fathers worked in China Lake and places like that and worked on the development of the missile itself. It, as I say, it never ceases to amaze me how you can get connected to people who know about this information. I'm hoping that maybe someone might know something about this. If you want to help get this out to people, please do remember to like the video, share it with anyone who might know, you know, Facebook groups for submariners or Navy people. Unfortunately, my uncle, who was in the Navy, who might have known people who might have known something, died prematurely quite a few years ago now. So unfortunately, my actual straight naval connections don't exist anymore, so I can't ask him to ask anyone. So I'm now kind of stuck. So yeah, if you think you know anything about this, or you have any information, or you've found something on the internet that looks like it, or you know someone who knows something about it, as I say, this is going to be UK World War II era, and probably around submarines. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.